Hello, slots enthusiasts. Welcome to the show. It's great to hang out with you for another Professor Slots podcast episode and live stream. If you've ever walked into a casino, looked around, and wondered what's going on, I can help. This is a live stream Q&A session every Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time here on my John Friedel Professor Slots YouTube channel. If you are here live, it's great to hang out with you guys and talk about slots. A few people got here a little bit early, and the chat is full of comments and welcomes to one another as everybody has been getting to know each other in our last, 21 weeks of live streaming every Saturday. So I know it is a holiday weekend, but today is kind of between holidays. So with all the self-quarantine, or perhaps a better word might be self-isolation that's going on, if we weren't doing that, I might very well not have had a live stream this weekend, but we're all pretty isolated and perhaps not spending time with family like we might want to. So I figured we would keep this up. Now, my father is here, or is supposed to be. He's learning the technology of being here. And so I want to say a hello to Dad and his wife, Barb. And they wanted me to use her last name, but perhaps that's not wise, since this will be on YouTube forever. Right, so I wanted to say hello to family on this holiday weekend. But today we're going to talk about some of my slots-related videos and posts from the last week. It's not a lot of material, but some of them I think are good. One of them, two of them were kind of discussed last week a little bit. So I have a post on each article, and then I have a video that I'm trying to make of some of my articles. And so we might get some repeat, but we can deal with that, I'm sure. I'll keep it short if we've covered it before. And it really isn't my attempt. This is not my attempt to tell you what the post says or to tell you what the YouTube video is. You can go see that probably. Hopefully you already have, but it is to kind of cover some of the things that didn't make it into it, some of the questions you might have, and to answer those questions as best I can, and whatever else you come up with. Eventually we're going to be a jam-packed show. It might be another 20 episodes, another 20 live streams to be jam-packed with topics to discuss where we won't be able to get to everything. So I imagine before too long, particularly when the casinos open back up, the chat will scroll and scroll and scroll, and I probably won't even be able to catch all of it. So because it'll just be scrolling so fast. But that hasn't quite happened yet, so I should be able to get to everybody's questions. So ask them while you can. Right. So welcome to everybody in the live stream. Let's see who was able to make it this holiday weekend. If you are able to sign into chat, and I know some people have had some difficulty signing into chat, but if you can sign in so you can type into chat or start chat, make sure to say hello to everybody and me, and as well as tell us what state you play slots in. Now, looking at the live chat, I see that the regulars have been doing this. So let's go through. Right. Chuck says the audio is good. That is probably the first thing I want to check. First thing I asked about. Right, Scott. Here we go again. Chip. Hey, Chip. I won't use your real name. I will. Chip Barron plays table games too, but we've been having a lot of emails back and forth. Although I might say that I reply once a day to his 3 or 4 emails per day. One of the best jokes I've heard so far this year was, "I'm only going to email you once a week," and I was like, "Really?" That counts as one, Chip. So. So hello, Chip. I see your question. I'll come back to it after I say hellos. Scott. Yeah, I think I have an idea what Chip's asking about because we had some conversations. Yeah, see, Chip says that in like the third or fourth chat message. You understand the issue. Yeah, he's asking about players clubs and during the shutdown, but Scott, I almost feel like the shutdown will go longer than the end of April. What do we know? I mean, that's a conversation, whether it was Chip or somebody, it was somebody else, Richard, a different Richard, on Facebook. We were chatting this morning, I think it was, and one of the points that was, we could have once said, this is unprecedented, all right? And while all the casinos starting up again is unprecedented because it hasn't happened yet, all the casinos shutting down only happened 2 or 3 weeks ago. And while it's not exactly the same thing, in a way it is. So it was kind of hard stop for a lot of the casinos. Governor said this, they did that, boom, particularly in Ohio. And where I saw that, it was a rough stop. And they may have something. I can't imagine that restarting the casinos will happen as quickly as the casinos closed. Casinos closed over 2.5, 3 weeks. A startup of all the casinos in 2.5, 3 weeks just doesn't seem it could be that fast, right? So it might take a full month for casinos to open. Yeah, for basically the all clear, basically. And that's hard for me to imagine as beginning of May. My father was asking me about this when I was talking to him on the phone this morning. He's like, so when is Soaring Eagle going to open in Mount Pleasant, Michigan? A tribal casino, one of the largest in the state. I think the largest tribal casino, but MGM Detroit is probably the largest casino. I think I wrote that up in my Michigan Thoughts article. But Soaring Eagle is the second largest casino because Caesars Windsor is not in Michigan. Anyway, all these details about all the states, which I'll talk about in a little bit. In any case, it does, Scott. It does seem like the shutdown will last longer than the end of April. We'll have to see how it goes. I'm feeling a little bit. My thoughts on this is, I feel like we're doing a little bit less of the week to week, and I think that's been the case for less than a week. So maybe this will be the unusual week of one quiet one, besides all the other stuff that's been going on. I get the same feeling, Scott, but we'll see what happens. Hello, Jan from Texas, who gambles in Oklahoma. Welcome. Let's see. Yep. Dave and Lois are here from Ontario. Dave and Lois, how did you get from Florida to Ontario? You sent me some plane pictures. Did you fly? Because that sounds like a fine idea instead of driving. No hotels, I guess. And let me keep on going through some of the chat here and reading it for people on the podcast. And honestly, people on the podcast or listening to this later on the video or the podcast, we have a lovely time in the show. I'm not letting the live chat be part of the video because I want people to feel safe and private and all that. So they just share with one another during the show and also to draw you in. So it's a pretty fun time. It might not, Larry, who has not been on the show for a little while, chat in the chat for a little while from UK, Larry from UK. He's got some stuff going on with people staying with him, and usually this is a quiet time. It's pretty late for him. 7 hours ahead, 6 hours ahead, something like that, depending on the time change, which was recently. And so he's not able to join what listens to this later. So I want to say hello, Larry. We miss you. And he's watching this later. Right. So Scott says he lives near Springfield, Missouri. Missouri, and travels to northeast Oklahoma to gamble, mainly play at Downstream, Indigo Sky, and a couple others. Just love these names. Play 9-liners and 25-cent machine slots, as well as 5, 10, and sometimes 25. When you say 5, 10, 25, do you mean $5, $10, 25, or do you mean nickel, dime, and because you already said quarter? Richard, hey Richard, welcome. Yeah. Richard says, at the end of May, this should all end. That's depending on the tone, which you said that, which I can't read in text. At the end of May, this will all end. Or at the end of May, this will be all be over. Text is, chat's interesting when it doesn't have a tone. Could go either way there. Denise, welcome, Denise. Live in Texas, plays in Oklahoma. Sorry, Jan. Yeah, Jan is in Texas, mostly plays in Louisiana. Neskila. I wish I knew how to pronounce that better. Chip, big hello. He's saying hello to everybody. Yeah. We all are expecting to be back at the casino. Chuck is always helpful in the feedback. Appreciate that. Joanna's here. Hello, Joanna. Paula is in Michigan. Paula, have you ever been in a casino? Joanna, are you 21? So I don't mean to pick on you. They're helping me out. They're family friends, their family, and they're helping me out. We're trying to figure out how I might need somebody to watch chat or something like that, and we'll see how it goes. That's something I wanted to talk to you guys about in a little while, just so you're not too surprised. Steve is in Wisconsin. Hello, Steve. Yep. Paula is in the Flint area. Keep up the conversation, people. That's great. Mark, hello from Ohio. Mark from Minnesota. Leonard Sterling. Could casinos stay closed until a vaccine? We don't know. There's so much we don't know. I try not to speculate. We have years and years of examples of flu vaccine. We can think about what's happened there, getting into position where we treat it, what's the term that some people use? The playbook, the flu playbook, where you have a vaccine that covers the different kinds of flus, and hopefully the one that you get is covered, and then you reduce a lot of the difficulties and the health system can support it. That sounds like a fine idea. I'm not in the medical profession. I couldn't tell you. I don't like not having the answers. It raises my stress levels. Could? Yes. Wise Virgin, Richard, are all the majority of Vegas lights out from closures? Only seen when... No, I'm told that if you go to, Vital Vegas, Scott Robin, he's on Twitter, and he is just, he tweets all the time. He's an insider. He's worked for some of the companies. He doesn't currently. He's got this podcast and other things that he does. But when something happens, he knows the day before. And so he tweets all this stuff. And check him out. I've talked about him before as one of my favorite podcasters. My Las Vegas Visits article, he has, I mentioned him in there, and he's the only one who responded and said he was blushing at how much praise I was sending his way. Scott Robin, Vital Vegas. Jan, you and your sister might meet my father and Barb sometime when I go up to Soaring Eagle. I promised them to do a casino evaluation. Done more for my father than anybody else. In fact, it's not even something I plan to offer very much, because otherwise I'd just be flying every weekend. All right, David from Oklahoma. Yep, watching bingo cards on slot screens is the best to only play on the G line. Anybody want to take there's a couple people on the Indiana slots community that have some good information on bingo cards, video bingo, and they have, 4 wins South Bend tribal casino that opens up, and they have that, and they're really on top of that. I know Oklahoma has Class 2 machines. About 45% of all the slot machines in Oklahoma the data was sent to the Oklahoma Gaming Commission, or Oklahoma, we'll call it Gaming Commission. It's all tribal casinos. About 45% of them were Class 2, and which meant some interesting things for Oklahoma. But I still see Indiana as being the real, of the people that I know, the bingo experts. So you might want to go to professorslots.com/IN for Indiana to maybe sign up to that group and check some of the posts there. They have conversations about winning on those. They've invited me up to show me those because I haven't been to play a Class 2 machine any place decent. I might have seen it in Michigan, but lately I've been getting interested, and I need to spend some time with one. They're just physically a distance away from me. I don't know. At this point, it might be 500 miles or something more. But this one opened up about a year and a half ago, and I need to get up to it, to South Bend. So Leonard says that he's been to Caesars Windsor. Yeah, I hear in Ontario, which is just across the, St. Charles? No, St. Clair River in Detroit, in Canada. You have to gamble in Canadian money, and there's a conversion rate, so you automatically lose a percentage there. Otherwise, it's a Caesars property, and it's, I used to be Silver Star that's probably at this point, with Southern Indiana not being a Caesars anymore, the Caesars Windsor is probably the closest one. But I let that go because they closed near me. David, right, didn't answer your question as much as I would have liked to. I can direct you to somebody. Sometimes I'm kind of a concierge. I know people with the answer, and I send you their way. Let's see, motorhome, towing car, airplane for the summer at home. All right, more detail than I expected. So you took your hotel with you. Excellent. Dollars. Yes, Scott. So this is, like I said, there's going to be more and more chat, and I don't want to take the whole show, but let me quickly go through. Isn't WinStar in Oklahoma the largest tribal casino? It was when it opened, or the rebuild opened. Is it still? That's a good question. Foxwoods, Mohegan Sun are just, at one point Foxwoods was, Mohegan's never, in Connecticut, never quite caught up. And then WinStar opened, and it became the largest. But this is something you've got to check every couple of months. It has been. WinStar in Oklahoma has been. Really, Joanna, you're 23. What the heck? What time just goes by? Huh. Hey, Joanna walked into a casino and walked out with 10 cents. So not the best outcome there, she says. I know plenty of people who came out without the 10 cents. Hey, you've been listening. Okay. So Aero Direct Fong, that's a name I haven't seen for a while. California has Indian casinos with slot machines. Aero Direct Fong said that everybody in Sacramento, California, he's from Sacramento, California, the city of Indian casinos. And I just want to mention, this is one of the things I wanted to kind of go over, for instance, California has tribal casinos only. It's the second most number of tribal casinos of any state. It's hard to count how many Oklahoma has. It has at least 108, but they have more than that because some of the convenience stores have a little room or a building behind it, a small building behind it, that would they can have slot machines because it's on tribal land, etc. So some of those might still be open, but there might only be 5 machines or some small number like that. And then there's the illegal, but not enforced to remove them, bingo games in Utah. which I've been getting photos of what those look like. So that's a convenience store, which is a necessity and open. So that's the sort of thing we got right now as far as open. But California has second most number of Indian casinos, and Oklahoma has at least 108. Yesterday, Richard turned 55. Happy birthday, Richard. April 2nd. Okay, for Joanna. So Denise says that WinStar is still the largest casino in the world. I like to, check. Everybody's competing. I'd heard that they had a good lead, but I'd been to Foxwoods, and they got the money, and they've got the big players from New York and Boston right there, and it wouldn't surprise me if they, going to take a swing at it. They've been competing with Mohegan Sun for so many years. They'd just build up. Each one would build up and compete with one another. I don't think MGM Springfield had a chance when they came into Springfield, Massachusetts, and were, I would say, blithely unaware of what the tribal casinos in Connecticut what they were capable of. They prepared for a year and a half before MGM Springfield opened to build loyalty in their players. And there's a guy named John. I don't think I've seen him on the show, but he's my inside guy. He's a gambler there, and we've been talking for years now. Yes, Dave, I am in Ohio, which means if I was in Iowa, I'd be equal distance from all the states. I'm currently in Ohio. It does not have online gambling, online casinos. It's blocked. But Indiana, and as well as sports betting, but I'm just trying to stick with slots. And Indiana has some sports betting. Kentucky did allow online for a while, but then not so much. So I have to... I got a blocked comment. I'm going to show it. I'm not sure what Richard is saying. So I try not to advertise on this, and this technically isn't an advertisement because I'm not asking for money. I have 57 Facebook groups, one for each state, territory, and the federal district. If you go to professorslots.com/ and then the 2-letter postal designation, that'll send you directly to Facebook, and you can join your state or the states that you visit. And it's a group of fellow slots players, and I'm glad Richard brought this up. So if you join that, then you'll be able to have conversations like this every day with people in your state. Now I have a 57th group, which is meant to be not a state or territory or federal district. It's meant to be worldwide. So that one's called Professor Slots Enthusiasts, and you can look that up or go to my website and you can find it, or sign up to my email list, and you'll get the list every week in my weekly email. So, I'm fine answering questions. I don't have a lot of material to cover because that's kind of duplicate of the last the last live stream. So let me just keep going with the chat. I'll try to read the questions so people on the podcast can understand what the question is, because I'm interested in learning what people want to know. Let's see, where was I? And we'll come back to the Facebook groups because that's something there that I wanted to talk about. David says, Oklahoma, what's up with perfume the casino puts out in the ventilation system? Are you sure? Does it? Maybe the air just smells beautiful in Oklahoma. But I wouldn't be surprised if... See, there's these little details. This is why I made the state-by-state Facebook groups, because I have these minor questions. Can you smoke in a business in Oklahoma? Because you can't in Ohio. They have these outdoor patios, the whole feature of an outdoor patio at a casino with slots, and we could, what's the advantage of playing in one of those with a limited number of slots and everybody smoking, and what goes on there? And that's an interesting concept. Maybe not. Maybe if you can smoke inside of a casino in your state, then you wouldn't be interested, right? So I would imagine it has something to do with the smoke. But let's find out. You can join the Oklahoma group and ask, and someone might know. Sometimes we get casino employees, but they're maybe not in the area of the casino that you might have the question about. Angela, welcome, Angela. You're in Ohio as well. Yeah, Hollywood, Dayton. Sure, I did a review on that. Let's see, I think it was podcast episode 13. Did an assessment in 2. Haven't done the one in Columbus. I've gotten, there's people who I believe Chip is also in Ohio, he's told me. And I just don't see myself going, I know you didn't ask, but going to visiting people, because there's only so many weekends, so many weekends in a year, and I can't do that. Okay, so Denise, who does, I think Denise is right. She lives in Texas, gambles in Oklahoma, and Jan is the one who lives in Texas and gambles in Louisiana. But Denise says that the scent is to drown out the smoke from all the people smoking. Right. So Angela's the second part of her comment was, "You're new here. Well, welcome. I'm sure you have said what class they are, but can you tell me?" Right. That's actually one of the articles I put out in the last week. Ohio has no tribal casinos, so everything's a Class 3 slot machine. The Oklahoma has published some articles, and I have articles on each state. Since you're new here, I'll say that. And if you, I said that wrong. ProfessorSlots.com/FB, and then the postal designation. So if you add a FB before the state 2-letter postal designation, you'll go to Facebook. But if you don't have the FB, if you just say like ProfessorSlots.com IN, you'll go to my article on Indiana. If you add the FBIN, you'll go to the Facebook slots community. Sorry about that. And so if you go to, Angela, if you go to ProfessorSlots.com/OH, you will go to my article and it'll talk about some of this. If various topics that seem pertinent. I've written it like 3 times now, so each year it gets a little better and I expand it a little bit further. Biggest casino, second biggest casino, payout returns, if any, theoretical payout, return statistics, where you find them, do they have them, analysis of a few things. So you can look that up. It's a resource for everybody, every state. Richard wants to know more of casinos wired for first 5 spins hits versus tribal casinos are time clocked. It isn't, no one tribe owns all tribal casinos. No one business owns all commercial casinos. Each business at best, and I don't mean like Caesars Entertainment, I mean like Harrah's, a division of Caesars Entertainment, and Horseshoe segment of that business. They have their own executives and they have their own ways of doing things. So each business, each tribe makes a choice. And I've mapped out maybe 8 different business practices a casino might do, and they have no reason to do a lot of them. They just pick it. They pick one. And so, when I talk about the winning strategies, and people say, well, that doesn't work. And I'm like, right, they're not using it. They're either using one of the others, one we haven't found yet, or they're not using any. But that would be stupid because these things give them advantages, so we just have to find it. We can't make them do it. And so do tribal casinos, in order to do the 5-spin method, it's my 5-pull method I talk about. And this is just briefly to go into it. I found that if I went into Belterra Park in Ohio, which is a racetrack, a casino in Ohio, near the Ohio River, not too far from Cincinnati, but outside of the town. No city taxes, thank goodness. There was a lot of taxable jackpots I won there, and I was glad not to have to do that. But pay that tax bill. But I found that when you went into the high limit room and you just bet 5 times on a particular machine, that you would win something. But when you won something on the first spin, second spin, third spin, fourth spin, fifth spin, there was no more. I played for hours and I didn't win anything. Stupid of me, but I wanted to check. And I was winning money, so much money at the other casino. I was just trying to see why wasn't this working? I don't understand. And then I understood. You can find a casino that will give you a taste. It's called a taste. That's one of these articles that I'm not covering right now actually could be very useful for having a conversation. Terms, a taste. A taste is when they give you a little bit of money when you first sit down on a slot machine. Not every casino. The casinos that choose to do this business practice, and it would have to be a wired, but by which we mean a central server that runs the slot machines that can adjust the odds. This is something very new. It only became possible to do these things in 2012, but it's advantageous to casinos, and I figured out how to win when they do that sort of thing. They win, but the few people that I've trained on this win too, and we shall see how it all works out in a few years. But if you do this 5-pull method and you stop once you win anything, and some casinos do that, and move to another machine, do it the same there, move to another machine, do the same there, that will get you, allow you to capture the tastes, right? Because what they want you to do is spend that money, stay there, spend that money, and then whatever you brought with you, Thorax, Changeling, hello as well. I'm trying to keep up with the chat and say hello to people and ask questions, because this is our live Q&A. I know a few other people with live streams, and they seem to just talk. Maybe they have an interview with somebody, and I think they spend an hour long or 50-minute long. They might spend 2 minutes on talking down in the chat, but you guys have questions, so you want to know. And so this is my opportunity to answer questions. Now, I do try, lately I've found that just jumping around on so many different topics can get a little confusing. So I have been trying to add, articles from the last week and videos from the last week and go over them. Like right now, I have a video that's coming out, and I have a post that it's already out on common slots definitions. What's a carousel? What's a bank? What's a candle? What's some of the terms that are obsolete, because some people still use those things having to do with coins. So I'll come back to that. But let's see. And I still have that question from Chip at the beginning, so I'll come back. I'll probably go back to that one. So I know, Richard, you want to know which casinos have the 5-pull method and which has the time clocked, and we don't know, right? You have to find out. You have to go and figure it out. Now, you've mentioned 2 winning strategies. Okay, that if they're actually business strategies, and if you uncovered them, then there is a response that you can do that would allow you to win, which is not the casino's intent for doing that business practice. But there's also 6 others. 6 others of my techniques it could be. In a casino, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, they won't do all of them. They might do one of them. They usually do one of them because it's crazy not to. It's an advantage for them. But it's also an advantage play for us if we do the counter that I've come up with. So like winning the taste, stopping, moving to the next machine and collecting tastes. I don't particularly enjoy that method. I think it's fun to win, okay, but it's not entertaining, right? We talk about gambling goals. That's on our video I do have out, identifying your gambling goals. And one of them, the biggest one, is entertainment. Another one is earning comps. Another one is making money. But really, it's kind of in that order. That's what most people like entertainment. A lot of people like comps. And the third one is making money, which is fewer people. And that, in mine is like researching and understanding how it all works. But you can do more than just one. You can have entertainment while you win money and get the comps. But it's all sort of like learn to do one well, add another one, and then figure out how you do the two together and throw in a third one. And it might take a little bit of time. And that's one of the things I can talk to you about, and because I've done it. I've managed to do all three at once. And I'll tell you what you need to do. And I don't usually sell on these live shows, but I do have ProfessorSlots.com/consult, where we go over things for like an hour, 50 minutes, and just answer your questions and very specifically to your needs in your state and your casino, and what you do and how you might adjust and what to watch for, and just good conversation, and then follow-ups. So let's see. I think I've done the best I can with Richard. Jan, how can you spot the good machines when you walk into a casino? The best thing I've been able to do is spot the bad machines. All right. I've got a method for that. It might not be every bad machine, but even just avoiding. Some people win a lot and lose more. All right. So what I try to tell them is, you are winning enough. You need to reduce your losing. So if you knew at least one way to find bad machines, don't play those. In your balance between your revenue and your losses, your income and your losses, which come out to your profit, the difference comes out to your profit goes up if you lose less, but you continue to win just as much. So what I'm talking about is my goodness ratio, which is on my front page under choosing slot machines, right in front of ProfessorSlots.com, and you can read that and you can see what I mean. So that's the one way to sort out of all the slot machines that you play, sort out those that you want to avoid, where even if you won something, you wouldn't be winning more than you spent. And I don't want to get into the equation. It's a very simple equation, but how to do that. But it's right there in that article. And the video that I made of that actually has like better graphics than I have in the article on my website. So just look up on this YouTube channel, Choosing Candidate Slot Machines is the name of my video. It's right there in the front of my page. If you go there, I put it right at the top. Let's see. Paula might be asking about smoking in casinos in Michigan. I don't know. You know about Michigan businesses. Ohio does not. Oklahoma does. Nevada does. And I can just tell you where I'm allergic to cigarette and I'm allergic to tobacco, and I'll just come out with my. They might even hear a couple of podcasts where I left the casino where they had smoking, and I'm all grovelly voice. So it's hard to do a podcast immediately after coming out of a smoky casino, or I got a particularly, bassy voice. So let's see here. Getting caught up. Mark asks, does the random number generator in the bonus game work the same as in the main game? That's a good question. When you have, there's advances, okay? You remember the Wheel of Fortune machine, right? Where the bonus round was a spin. The results of that spin were part of the calculation when you first pushed the button and made the bet. The reels turned, it landed on spin, the second wheel above turned, it landed on something. All that was calculated at the push of the bet of the button, okay? Because of how these things work, all that was done, it has to be, to it's too hard to calculate if you have multiple RNGs as the game progresses, because you're only allowed to have one return statistic on the machine, one theoretical payout on the machine, if the state enforces has those laws. So whatever the result of your bet was an RNG calculation. Now, it may have been done multiple times, but it all has to be done when you make the bet. All that bonus rounds and all of that was all figured out. Now, sometimes you have to make a choice. Sometimes in the bonus round, you have to select something. That's a Class 2 game. That's a skill-based game. There's hardly any skill. This is not, poker where you're trying to have a best hand or play optimal play. It's any choice means that is when the RNG is used. And you don't make a choice on bonus rounds. I mean, starting it, well, press the spin button to make the big wheel spin. That's not a choice. That's playing the game. Just keeping it doing what it's going to do. And so there's only one choice. So it's not a choice, it's just proceeding. So RNG is only done at the beginning of the game unless it's a skill-based game. And Class 2 is under a different, there's hardly any state gaming regulations on those. Let's see, Scott. Try it on. So Scott says, I would like to try the 5-spin idea. Going to try it sometime. A couple of caveats. You seem to follow what I said. Some people like to use 10 spins. I think that's kind of burning up too much cash, But some people like 3 spins, and I'm like, well, you want to give this machine a chance, maybe. So I'd go with kind of middle of the road with 5 spins, but you might be a little more, a little bit less. I think 5 is a good place to start. Also, don't do what I did. Don't go into the high limit room where I learned this. Go play a penny machine, or a nickel machine, or even a quarter machine, 1 credit, some small amount. Because the thing about the 5-spin idea, the 5-pull approach, is that if it's done on one machine, it's on all machines in the casino. You see why now, if you do find it exists, you want to make a serious consideration of going into the high limit room. And I'm so sorry, I got distracted a few minutes ago. What I was going to say was that the reason why I don't like the 5-pull method is once you play every slot machine, how long do you have to wait for this to be re-engaged? Is it going to be the next person with a different player's card? Is it going to be an hour? Is it going to be a day? When does it reactivate? And so I play each high limit machine once with the 5-pull method, unless I see somebody playing it. So I try to go into quiet time, and then I'm done. And who likes to be in a casino for 20 minutes? Either you win or you didn't win within 5 pulls, and then you're done. Come back tomorrow. I'm like, man, I was going to be here like 3 hours, but I can't because I'm done. So 5-pull method just doesn't give me enough time to play. Although it's nice when you win those $5,000 jackpots and stuff, in the first 5 spins. And but the other thing I can say about that, again, this is stuff that's kind of not in the article. Things I've learned about it is on the 5-pull method, it's very obvious. It's obvious to other people. So down at Belterra Park, I was winning $5,000 jackpots, $1,000 jackpots, $2,500 jackpots, and just, again and again and again. But people saw me doing that. I saw somebody doing it. That's what I just couldn't believe it. I saw somebody, and I put this in my book, and I'm like, well, what the heck? And word got around, and the casino responded. How did the casino respond? Yes, they did not turn off the taste. They just lowered the amount. So when you first press the bet button, it's not actually one random number generator. Well, it's one random number generator, but it's used twice. The first time is to see if you win. The second time is to see how much you win. Right there at the push of the button. So they didn't change having a taste. They reduced the amount. So then, 6 months later, I'm putting in $100 and I'm making five $20 bets. And, I would win $20 on the fifth push of the button, or I'd win $50, get a cherry or something. And I'd be like, so I just spent half my money. Where before it would have been a $5,000 jackpot or a $2,000 jackpot. Now, I still came out ahead over time because of that method, but I didn't, casinos respond. I don't think we have hardly anything to worry about. I'm just pointing out these things that can happen with some of these winning strategies. I don't think we have anything to worry about until we get large, until we get a big group, until I start telling this to 1 million people or 500,000 people spread across the United States, spread across the world. Then the casino is going to see an impact on their finances. It might be just a blip, but they might start going, well, wait a minute, this can't be right. We can't allow this. But they can't stop you, but they can change their business practice so that you don't win as much. But that's going to take years, many years. So try it now, and just be ready for change. It's going to be like a game, back and forth, like that MIT group that did the card counting schemes. The casinos were driven to having, throwing people out. And then the team that was doing all this had fake mustaches and a hat. And so the casinos went to, having more players' cards, and the casino, just back and forth. And 20 years later, now we've got not multiple decks, but infinite decks, automatic shufflers, infinite shufflers. So you start to see this response to the advantage plays, but we're not there yet. We're a decade or more away from it, so don't worry about it just yet. When we get bigger, then these are the changes that we're going to start seeing. So I have a book behind me over there called Learning to Win. It's on Amazon. I only mention this because somebody just chatted about it. Lois. No, it wasn't Lois. It was Scott. Thank you, Scott. Seems to be fairly popular. Most popular book I ever wrote. No, it isn't. Oh my God. I wrote a dissertation, which is like 300 pages, probably the same size as the book. The book is like 230 pages, 237 pages, and depending on what format you get it in, the PDF is 237 pages. But my dissertation for my doctorate is technically a book, a little more technical, a little dry, and I guess it's been checked out of the library, the depository at Iowa State University 487 times, and I've only sold like 410 copies of Learning to Win. My second best book. I'm sorry, I'll get back to it. Funny how life treats you. Let's see. Arrow Direct Fong. Can I use my cell phone to record myself playing the slots? Legally, no. Legally, it's dangerous. It's a state law whether or not you can use your cell phone to record yourself playing the slots. Many casinos will tell you, can you record the video? And there are, we see videos on YouTube, right, where people are there playing slot machines and recording it and commenting on it. Those people have an agreement with the casino. I've talked about this in the past and how they don't have an agreement with the slot machine manufacturers who are, renting the machines to the casino, but the casino's covered. Maybe not the person recording, but some casinos will allow you to record. Most do not. And the people who do allow you to record, these slots channels, they have a contract with the casino, and you don't, right? So you can record yourself, but you run the risk of it being interpreted as an electronic gambling device, and that's a felony. You run the risk. Now, a gambling device is not a piece of paper, so you can write it into a piece of paper. But I knew that, and so I went into the casino with my little booklet. It's right behind me over there on the shelf, a little booklet, and I took notes. And it might have been all of 2 minutes. I was writing down, for my goodness ratio, I was writing down what the top jackpot was and the credits amount and what was it, and the number of credits, the denomination, and the top jackpot amount to calculate my goodness ratio, which is to determine whether or not a slot machine should be avoided. And it wasn't 2 minutes later that a guy in a suit was standing next to me saying, "What are you doing?" Wasn't a felony, but he said, "Our business does not allow that." So at least you'll still be told no, but at least it won't be something where you can be arrested for it. Sorry, didn't mean to jump on you there, Aero Direct Fong, but I don't like people being surprised by these things. Taxes and illegal activities in casinos. And tribal casinos, they have their own law enforcement, Tribal, there's, you might not even have rights. Right. Jan says, "I understand goodness ratio, but what I was saying is, how do you spot the winning machines as..." Oh, yes. Okay, so there's another way. We've talked about casino business practices, and one of the casino business practices that existed prior to computer servers, before they had direct control over each slot machine from it remotely. One of the things that casinos been doing for a very long time, I actually showed this before, and I think I dug out more of these. So there's this one, and there's this one, and there's this one, and this is all getting kind of loud, and there's this one, and I think I got like 3 or 4 more down there somewhere. I just sort of keychains that they made for me in 2004 when I sat down at a machine, 5 times play, $1 denomination, 5 credit maximum bet, and I put $500 in when I was a graduate student, and before the $500 was gone, I won $500 again and again and again and again and again and again. And then I had my first hand pay in my life about an hour later, and I was doing one hand pay an hour. And I was shocked. Never ran out of money. That first weekend, I came home with $10,000. $10,000 in cash. I put it on my end table, $100 bills. Couldn't sleep because I was looking at it. My little studio apartment when I was a graduate student, working my doctorate. And I kind of put a book on it to cover it up so I wouldn't have to look at it. And it tilted. Because you ain't going to hide that. And the next, Monday I went back. And this is all in my book, but the next Monday I went back and took another $500 and did it again. And then for 6 days, more or less, I think one day I stayed home and had a test or something. Went to school. And on the 7th day, I put $500 in and it was gone in 5 minutes. I was like, what just happened? And that's when I thought about that for years when I moved to Connecticut where there wasn't any good slot machines and I didn't know how to win. I thought about it. And I'm like, no, it's statistically impossible. I mean, very unlikely. I'm not that lucky. The casino did something. And I began to think about, I found that winning slot machine because I'd read something on the internet at the time. What was it, Netscape? 2004, end of 2003. And I realized that it was the second to the end slot machine on a row near the only bar, clearly visible to all those people. And they didn't have machines at the bar at the time. Clearly visible to all these people not gambling, and people would look and cheer and then run to a slot machine, but not the one I was at. So this is what I now call a hidden promotion. It was visible. Anything happened, it was seen. And so it isn't just at the bar, near the bar, but it's one place that I look. I now walk into a casino and I walk around, and it's like my eye is drawn to the curve in the path in the open area behind it where there's a restaurant or a bar or smoking parlor or something. And I just that's a candidate, maybe that one. And I go. And, one of the services I was considering offering in the consulting is, if you feel that you can take a picture from the entrance of the gaming floor, stand outside of the high limit room, take a picture, walk along the main paths, only if you can sneak a photo or something. I just don't want to get people to get in trouble. And maybe I can do this remotely. Maybe I can do what I do when I'm actually in a casino and say, there's your candidate one. There's, is it not obvious? You can, it's got a high up display seen from a distance over that corner. It's facing this way. What? You're not seeing that? And so I built this observation, this ability to observe. Now, the casino, will they do this oldest promotional, how to win, how to make people spend their money? Will that casino do it? I've gone to casinos where they don't do it, or it's not that time of year. They have a budget for these things, and sometimes they go through their budget. So I might try 6 months later or something. Let's see. And that's the best way I can explain it. I'm trying to figure out a way to, get an image, get a photo. There's things I can't do, things you can't do. Floor map. The casino doesn't give out a floor map. If you look from above, don't take your drone in, please. That would be too funny. To capture the paths. But, this sort of walkway planning, there's professionals who do this sort of thing. But I have to actually walk the path because I can't do anything else. You can look for these things, but you do need to kind of have an idea. Well, all you can do is try the ones that are sort of sticking out like a sore thumb, and try and see if that casino will set those up to win. They might not, but it's the oldest technique that casinos have to get people to play. So what are the odds, right? Let's see. If you want to watch someone just throw money at a machine. Yeah, JB, was it him or who's the other guy? Had a conversation with the gentleman. I want to say SD. That's not right. I have too many scattered notes here. SD guy? Is it SD guy? Something guy. And he had spent about $50,000 twice for a total spent of $100,000 and didn't win anything. And I'm like, what, you work for the NFL? You're a former quarterback? Who has money like that? But people do. It's not any different if you just remove a couple of zeros. Wow, I can't believe I spent $1,000 and I didn't win a thing. Yeah, I've done that, but 100,000? Eek. So we had a nice little chat about how the casino business practices work, and it isn't something that he seemed to really want to know. Anyway, I wanted to mention on the Facebook groups that we are getting larger, and this comes with a bit of a problem, and I wanted to make you aware of it. Oklahoma is my largest slots community, has the most number of members, as well it should. The second largest is Washington. Now, there are spammers out there. This is just a brief conversation, but there are spammers out there who aren't going to waste their time with small Facebook groups, right? Because they want to impact a larger number of people. Well, getting close to 200 on Oklahoma, and over 100 or so in Washington, and that's starting to be of interest. So we're getting some pretty professional spammers trying to get in. Now, I check them out. They ask to join. I basically look at their page, their profile. I don't want pages to join because that's obviously a business. And if they want to do business with me, then I'll set up a contract and build a relationship. But it's going to cost. If they're an individual, then they can, express their slots interests, of course. But if they have a business, then they need to work on a different arrangement with me. So, but sometimes what I'm trying to say is sometimes they get through. because some of these people this is not accidental stuff where they, play a piano and put something on there, or just, I'm going to share with every group that I join that I have this grandson who did this, and it shows up as content unavailable because the kid's got his, privacy set properly in his Facebook group or page, profile. So I see some more, I won't call them attacks, but people are trying to get in and who are professional spammers. Let me know. I think it was Jan or Denise or both who have helped keep an eye on that sort of thing. Just be diligent. I'm blocking a few people that have obvious, this guy in New York slots community, and I joined him, and it wasn't within 3 seconds that he had 4 posts on his online poker business. And, I have Facebook tools that allow me to dump him in anything that he's posted in the last 7 days, and any of the groups that he's joined, and he's just gone because 3 seconds. I don't even know how he did it. It was just waiting with his button all ready to go. It was just amazing. I respect professionals, but I promise to protect you guys, so I'm going to do that. Now, we are out of time. Thank you for coming to the Q&A. It was a lively group. I'm glad to see that. And I will see if I can answer the last few questions here on chat, but I'm going to end the stream because we are almost 2 minutes over, 1 minute over. So thank you so much. Have fun. Be safe. Make good choices. Bye.